Last saw him at the jacket dinner and then watched his amazing speech at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, courtesy of DirecTV for Business. Ladies and gentlemen, Hall of Famer Drew Brees on the program. How you doing, brother? Good to see you.
What's up, man? Good to see you again.
I know. It was so great to see you.
Man, twice in a week. This kind of fun.
Dude.
Like 3 times in a week.
Dude, that was amazing. And, what was your impression of the weekend, Drew?
Man, finally having a chance to maybe process it all, right now. It was a whirlwind. It's a whirlwind leading up to it just because there's just so much preparation that goes into, that weekend. You're hosting, so many people that have been.
It's like a wedding. It's like you got married again.
It really was. It's like rehearsal dinner, wedding right. Reception. It's like,
Yeah.
And then couple that with all the things that the Hall of Fame is doing. And I think they intentionally try to leave a lot of things a surprise for you because they want your genuine, authentic reaction and emotion behind it. So there's some of the unknowns that go along with it. But I looked at that weekend as a way to convey my appreciation and gratitude for all the people that have been a part of the journey. So, you're wanting them to feel that at the same time while you're trying to just be in the moment and absorb everything that's coming at you with the Hall of Fame.
What if I told the kid growing up in Texas that he's going to be a Hall of Famer one day and Joe Montana's going to put the jacket on him?
You know what? I don't even know how I don't even know how I would have processed that. My head would have exploded, I think. I went down after I got the gold jacket, on Friday night, and I walked down, like my dad looked at me, he's like, I can't believe Joe Montana just put that jacket. I mean, seriously. And it like took us back to a moment where, literally I was 10 years old. I'm watching Joe Montana lead that drive against the Bengals, the John Candy 2-minute drive, and with my dad, I'm 10 years old. And had you told me that, here we are 35 years later and, he's putting that jacket on my back. It's amazing. It's crazy.
Yeah. And then that was an incredible moment for sure. And then another thing that I heard over the weekend, is it true that you're Drew because you were named after Drew Pearson? Is that true?
So it's funny. Drew Pearson and I were joking about this. So There was a time when I was a kid where I thought I was named after Drew Pearson. Like, I think my parents had alluded to it. And I don't know if it was I don't think it was like a direct, we're naming you after Drew Pearson, but maybe it's like we're going through the names and it's like, oh, Drew Pearson. Oh, that's a cool name. Yeah, let's go with Drew, like maybe that was like the final, kind of got him over the hump to name me Drew, but I'm going with it. So I told Drew Pearson, I'm like, I think you're partially responsible here. So thank you.
Well, I flew back halfway home. I flew out of Cleveland to Dallas with Drew Pearson, Drew Brees. And Drew Brees here on the Rich Eisen Show. And Drew Pearson 100% believes it. Like, that's it. Like,
let's go with it. We're going with it.
It's a fact to him. And by the way, Cliff Harris was sitting in front of him. And as we're about to take off, Cliff Harris turns around to him and goes, "This is one of the only times you've ever gotten past me." And I just love moments like that. What about from you being amongst all of these guys who are now peers? You're now a peer of theirs, an immortal peer. Yeah. Do you have one of those moments where you just saw Hall of Famers interacting with each other and like, that's pretty cool? Anything like that?
Yeah, it's I feel like, man, there's a lot of there's a ton of camaraderie, and I still feel like there's some rivalry. As far as just the legendary matchups that we saw between a lot of these guys. Growing up. And then even like my class of guys, I could not ask for a more unbelievable class of guys. Like Roger has been so awesome. I think just collectively as a group, like we have developed such a love and appreciation for Roger, his entire family, like his journey, seeing how happy, like genuinely happy all of his teammates were to see him going in. And I think we would all say, man, it's been a long time coming, right? For a guy who, had such immense contributions to the game of football and to his team in that era with the Niners. But, Larry Fitzgerald's always been one of my favorite guys, throughout the league. And Adam Vinatieri, of course, like two Hall of Fame careers basically on two different teams. But Luke Kuechly, you talk about like kind of rivalries.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the guy who legitimately every year was like, how do we get past Luke Kuechly if we want to win this division? And now all of a sudden we're going in the same Hall of Fame class. So the relationship that we've been able to develop, I mean, truly this brotherhood that'll last, for the rest of our lives.
And Drew Brees here on the Rich Eisen Show, courtesy of DirecTV for Business. My favorite part of your speech, Drew, was you telling the story when you were with the Chargers and you're in a film room and your coaches basically say to you, how come, you didn't connect with your receiver? And you said, because I couldn't see him. And, obviously you're not 6'5", but you're a first ballot Hall of Famer, and how that moment caused you to replay the moment in your head. You weren't going to use it as an excuse anymore. And the thing that really hit me is one of the guys in the room is the current coach of the Dallas Cowboys, and Brian Schottenheimer. And I'm like, man, I did not know that story. And I really appreciate you sharing that, because it was that really a moment, like an epiphany, a turning point, hinge moment for you in your career, Drew?
1,000%. That 2003 year was a really tough year. I was benched 3 times, and was really trying to find myself as a player and figure out what it was going to take. And I'd never had to go through something like that as an athlete. I'd always been the starter, always been the guy, always been the one with the ball in his hands, that everybody relied on in crunch time. And now all of a sudden I'm being told, hey, you're not good enough right now. You got to go sit on the bench, And so, man, huge shot to the ego. But again, you go one of two ways. You either go in the tank and you let it affect what's going to happen next, or you say, no, you know what? Darn right. Like, I need to get better. I need to improve. And so I'm going to take a look at every aspect of my game, my preparation, my training habits, my sleep habits, my diet, my recovery, everything. I need mentors. I realized that I didn't have exactly, all the people that I needed to help guide me or advise me. And so I developed a lot of mentors, Tom House, Todd Durkin, during that offseason, in order to get to a point where, man, I just not only, physically, mentally, emotionally, but man, my leadership, my assertiveness, just the way that I thought about myself, the way that I was going to conduct every aspect of, myself as a quarterback of that team. I think truly getting to a point where, hey, I'm just not going to make any excuses, right? Like I'm going to find a way. And even if it's a way that, other people don't have to deal with that because they've got different, physical abilities or traits. Like I have to find a way to play this game, to play it well, to play it effectively with, the gifts that God's given me. And so being a shorter quarterback, what do? You throw through lanes, you anticipate. I got to know coverage stone cold. I got to know where people are, even if I can't see them. I got to create my own timing and rhythm, right? That's the job of the defense, is to throw me off a timing rhythm. It's my job to keep myself on rhythm. I tried to address a lot of these things in the speech because I felt like it was probably things that people had never heard or never heard in that way. And I feel like it would be really enlightening for people to know and understand what it's like playing the quarterback position, but certainly, from my perspective.
Well, I mean, I made a note of it mentally, knowing that I would at some point talk to you, whether it was on camera or off, and I'd wanted to hit you on that, as well as the fact that Brian Schottenheimer has got a heck of a team in front of him here. And a lot of people thought when the Cowboys hired him, it's like, okay, we're going to get somebody who Jerry Jones can sort of have his way with, in all honesty, and he's really grown into a role. Like, and when you told that story, I'm like, man, he's son of Marty, who's been kind of marinating for this moment for like a quarter century. And I think like this could be his moment, Drew, and I'd love to get your 2 cents on that.
Yeah. So first off, I've got such a great relationship with Brian Schottenheimer. He was my quarterback coach for 4 years with the San Diego Chargers from 2002 to 2005. We're close in age. He's about 4 years older than me, but he was a great mentor for me. And look, I feel like we grew up in a lot of ways in this league together. I was a young starter in this league trying to establish myself. He was a young coach trying to establish himself. And then he went on to become a play caller in a lot of places, with the New York Jets, with the St. Louis Rams, and a few other places, had opportunities to become a head coach at times, turned it down because it wasn't quite the right opportunity. Maybe he felt like that opportunity had passed him by. And all of a sudden he is the next head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. And I think in so many cases, that decision was made because of his relationship with Dak Prescott and because of his ability to lead that team. Look, let's be honest. I think Dallas, the Cowboys, has had this reputation as being a little bit dysfunctional, and having a lot of talent and yet just distractions. And man, how do we get past all this stuff and, keep the main thing, And I think what Brian has been able to do is come in and, first off, I think there's a great connection he has with Dak. I think, I think the players, really a lot of his messaging and a lot of his experience, they resonate with him. Like they appeal to those players. And he has created an incredible atmosphere. I visited them this offseason. I'm going to go to the Saints Cowboys practice here in a couple hours to watch them. So I get the sense that, man, there's an energy and there's an excitement there, but there's a focus. There's a focus around what needs to be done in order to be successful and to go win and to kind of take this thing to the next level, to get over the hump. And I think he's the perfect guy to do it.
I got one more football question for you, and then I'd love to know what you're doing with DirecTV for Business before I send you on your day. You're the perfect guy to ask. Sean Payton surprised a lot of people by saying he's given up play calling and he's handed it off. How do you think he's going to handle that during the season, Drew? How do you think that's going to go?
I think it's going to be tough, man. He's wired to call plays. At the same time, I think it's a pivotal time in his career because I think what he realizes is, man, look, a huge part of being a head coach is developing your other coaches. And it seems like, I don't know Davis Webb that well, but everything I've heard about Davis Webb is that he's like the next generation. And he's an incredible coach, somebody that Bo Nix gets along with really, really well. And this is Sean Payton's opportunity to now develop, Davis Webb as the next play caller, a great offensive coordinator, maybe potentially a head coach in this league elsewhere. I mean, I think that's what the realization you have as a coach is that, man, I want to develop this tree of guys. Like if I'm doing a great job, that other teams are going to come and start to pluck my guys. Well, I don't want to lose Davis Webb, man. I'm going to now empower him to become a great play caller. In a lot of ways, though, I think it does free Sean Payton up. And I think that's the way he should look at it and will look at it is, look, Sean is a bit of a micromanager, right? Like he wants to have his hands and attention on everything, like every aspect of the building. And so I think that will allow him to maybe just be a little bit more relaxed on game day and be able to truly manage and like CEO. He's got incredible assistant coaches around him that he's assembled to coach that team. But man, I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, he's still the same guy. I don't know if you saw, he laid the Broncos laid it on the Falcons in a preseason game, and he's talking about fans showing up dressed as empty seats, like he's still got the Fleur de Lis on his shirt, man. Like, he just only knows one speed.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think that's ever going to leave him.
That's certainly not. What are you doing with DirecTV for Business before I let you go, Drew?
Yeah, so I'm an owner and partner in Walk On Sports Bistro, which is one of the fastest growing franchise sports bar concepts in the country. I've been a partner for 10 years. We're growing throughout the country, and everybody comes to Walk-Ons for our Louisiana-inspired cuisine, very family-friendly, bring the Little League teams after the game, date night, family, but it's because also, man, the sports that we have on TV, the energy, the environment, the excitement, and we have a huge partnership with DirecTV for Business where we can play every game that's happening around the country, as well as, not just for football season, but basketball season, hockey, baseball, huge events like the Masters, Kentucky Derby, you name it. So they've been an unbelievable partner, and they help us create that atmosphere and excitement that we wanted Walk-Ons.
DirecTV.com/4business for anybody who's curious for more. Hey, man, part of my gig that is that I cherish. You mentioned that story in 2003 for you. NFL Network started that year. So I've known you for a long, long time. And the fact that I get to be there and announce your name while you get a jacket and be there front row seat and see your wife, who I met at your charity tournament 2 decades ago, and then your kids, that little boy with those big headsets on his head is now a grown man watching you go in with the rest of your kids. Congrats, brother. Really.
It's awesome. Thank you.
You bet, man. I hope to see you again soon, real soon.
Yes, definitely.
There goes Drew Brees, everybody. Pro Football Hall of Famer, first ballot guy, right here on the Rich Eisen Show. Hey, you made it all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Check us out every single weekday on Disney Plus, the ESPN app, and ESPN Radio. And be sure to now check out richeisenshop.com to see all of our latest apparel and accessories so you can rep your love of the show every day.